Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out I Don't Work Here Lady. Story 1. First I Don't Work Here. My first I Don't Work Here finally happened last week. I just clocked out of work and went shopping for new shoes because mine were so worn out there was a hole in the solace of them. My work uniform is just casual clothes, i.e. jeans, plain shirts/sweatshirts and an apron with the store logo on the front or a store-provided shirt with a logo on the front and back. So when I'm not wearing my apron, I'm just wearing everyday clothes. Within 10 minutes of shopping, 5 people asked if I worked there, and then a random lady came up to me going off saying, "You guys have such horrible customer service. I can't find anyone to help me." After she finishes, I say, "Lady, I don't even work here, WTF," and she looked so angry, but she stomped off instead of complaining further. Good thing too, because I had dealt with enough of customers' crap all day. I was so close to going off. Edit. I work at a Bevmo, a liquor store chain, and the store I went to was a Big 5. It's about all Big 5 stores, but the one I went to, they all wore lanyards with their name and picture and wore casual but professional clothing as their uniform, so I wasn't wearing the same uniform as them. Story 2. Woman mistakes me for Tesco worker. Short and sweet, gave me a giggle too. Other morning I was in Tesco Express before heading to college. I was wearing black 3/4 length gym leggings, a Punisher hoodie, my college lanyard, studded black backpack, and had earbuds in, not the blue uniforms that staff wear. Couldn't find what I was looking for, so I tried to leave when a woman blocks my path. I can see her mouthing something to me but couldn't hear because of my music, so muted up to see what she was trying to say. "Do you work here?" Not for about 10 years now." "Oh. Oh. I'm so sorry. I saw your lanyard and thought you were staff." "Sorry, it's too early for me." "Nah, you're fine, still to have my morning coffee myself." "Oh, I know that feeling." She walked off laughing to herself after that. Story 3. Mistaken for college staff. I was minding my business walking to my college class, and then an old guy on a bike came up beside me and said, "Well, you must be a staff member." I was like, "Oh, hhh.no. He was so dumbfounded that I said this and replies with, "Really? You're a student?" "No sir, I'm just a random person that walked off the street and decided to walk onto a college campus and take a couple classes because I felt like it." Story 4. You picked the wrong guy. I finished my day at a city police station at the same time as shift change. Left the building talking to 4 other people, a detective carrying a briefcase with the department markings on it, and 3 uniform officers. I'm dressed business casual, carrying my tool kit and a box of parts. Note: I'm a field service engineer, computers. We get to the street and start to go our separate ways, so I'm about 5 feet away when a car pulled up, passing the 4 officers and stopping in front of me. The passenger window is down and I hear, "Excuse me, officer." I bent down to look into the car. I see a gold badge and hear, "Where do I park for the police station?" The ID shows his rank, so I referred to him as captain when I gave him directions to the proper parking lot. While hearing multiple WTF. Story 5. Outperforming store staff. So my boss is on a work trip in Toronto and called me just to check in how things are going here. He was having a riot with his day and was laughing up a storm. Apparently he had forgotten to pack underwear and not enough dress shirts for his trip. Single 40-year-old guy, so no one to help him pack, so he popped out to some store to go and get himself more clothes. Now let me preface this with, when we are working, he's always casually dressed, but when he's at a meeting he looks top tier. Always. And the man is a silver-tongued devil. He could sell ice to an Eskimo. His tale told to me, he was at the store browsing some dress shirts when an older man came up to him in the store asking about hats that were on the wall beside the shirts. His automatic answer was, "Well, let's take a look at what they have." After spending 5 minutes browsing, the other guy found a hat and was questioning sizes. And the boss's answer was, "Well, let's see what size this is," and checked the inside of the hat. Which yielded promising results, but my boss, always looking for fun, said to the guy, "This hat is great, it looks great on you, but you should get two. You should get another one in a different color because this color is for this kind of social situation but this color is for that kind of social situation. Of course he talked the man into buying two overpriced hats at this high-end dress store. Said the hats were a couple $100. Then 15 minutes later, when my boss found his clothes and was ready to pay, he stood in line, right behind the guy he just sold. The guy looked at him and was, "You don't work here, do you?" And my boss smiled and said, "No, I was just doing some shopping," at which point the other guy turned beet red and paid for his hats and bolted. The manager was on the till chuckling and said, You sold better than any of the staff who work here." Story 6. I barely work here. This isn't exactly a don't work here story because I do work at this place, but let me explain. I work at a retail store as a person who fills online orders. I basically walk around the store with a mobile collecting items for online orders to then be shipped out. I have zero sales training, I don't know how to use the registers, and I don't have keys to unlock dressing rooms, so unless you want to know where the bathroom is, I'm essentially useless. A couple of weeks ago the store started enforcing stock and fulfillment workers to wear lanyards with our name and picture on it to show that we are allowed in back rooms. The sales associates do not have to do this. I keep seeing posts on this sub about lanyards being a big reason to be mistaken as a worker, and oh my god, do I feel like a walking neon sign just asking to be approached with that thing on. More than ever am I being stopped by customers asking to do a return or open a fitting room, and then they get irritated with me when I have to tell them I can't do any of that. So many times have I contemplated just lying to the next customer that asks me if I work there and just say no. Story 7. At the dermatologist's. Not my story, but I overheard this yesterday, after I had something unpleasant surgically removed from my nose and was sitting in the waiting room with a huge bandage on my face, waiting for the lab results. The very nice receptionist, one of 4 at the check-in counter, answered a call, and her side of the conversation went like this. Anne Arundel Dermatology Associates, may I help you? Who? Are you sure? I'm sorry, we don't have a Dr. Berkman on the staff. Where did you say your appointment is? Oh, that's the address of the Annapolis Dermatology Center. We're Anne Arundel Dermatology Associates. I have their number here, can I give it to you? No, I can't transfer your call. Dr. Berkman doesn't work here. No, as I said, we're Anne Arundel Dermatology Associates. We're a different practice altogether. But I can give you their general number. Okay, here it is. XXYYYZZZZ. Thank you, and have a nice day. Hangs up, looks at her associates, rolls her eyes and mutters, Are you even listening to what I'm saying? I smiled at her and said, Thanks, you've given me a genuine IDontWorkHereLady story. She smiled back and said it happens quite a bit, which is why they have each other's number handy. Story 8. I don't work here, he says from behind the counter. I am American. One of my friends, we'll call her Jade, lives all the way in Old Blighty. Despite being friends for a long time, we had never met. Through a stroke of crazy luck, I got to go to London and meet her, but I was only in London for a day. We did typical tourist sites before I noticed a bookshop at the corner of a street. Now, I'm a big fan of local bookstores, and I wondered what neat books they might have that are hard to get my hands on in the US. So in we go, looking around. The bookshop sells all manner of used books, many of which are pretty old by American standards. We finally make our selections, a book on the Second Punic War that was published in 1883 and a book from 1938, both of which were selected almost entirely for their age, and head to the front. As I'm checking out, I strike up conversation with the man checking me out. I ask him how long he's been working there. I don't work here, he tells me. I start laughing, but he's dead serious. You don't work here? No. Before I could ask a follow-up, he finishes checking us out. He gives us free bookmarks. I left, utterly perplexed. I still have no idea what the fuck happened, but for a guy who didn't work there? Honestly an incredible asset. 10/10. Story 9. You're right, I'm the dumbest person on the planet, thanks. I'm a 20-something book enjoying coffee drinker, so naturally I end up where the other couple million 20-something book enjoying coffee drinkers go, my local bookstore. I'm not there frequently enough that I get recognized, but I'll do some window shopping and have a coffee every so often. They did some reorganizing a while back and a bunch of sections got moved around, and from that came this lovely encounter. I'm browsing the new arrival displays, drinking my latte, and an older lady taps my shoulder and asks me to point her towards the romance section. I have no idea where the romance section went, but I don't see an employee to send her to, and it really isn't that big of an inconvenience to give it a shot. I start my answer with, I don't know, but and she interrupts me. She says it's really unprofessional that I don't know where anything is. Hey? She goes on a tirade about how dumb I must be to not know where anything is, and what was the point of reorganizing the whole place if I can't even remember where things got moved. I did question at first if she thought I worked there, but I dismissed the idea because surely, she couldn't be that dense. Folks, I was in a skirt and heels. I had a basket of books and a coffee. I was carrying a purse. I couldn't have looked less like an employee if I tried. I told her as much, and she just got madder. Well, you just look like you work here. It's not my fault you're too dumb to correct people. TBH, that hurt my feelings a little, but I realized I had a superpower no employee at that store did, the ability to walk away from angry customers. So I did. Ignoring someone never felt so good. I think she hunted down a manager and started complaining to them, but I'm not sure how she managed to identify one in the first place. A bit anticlimactic yet, but getting to ignore a mean customer at my actual job is my biggest fantasy, and this was the closest I've ever gotten to fulfilling it. Story 10. It's the lanyard again. I had to get some business casual clothes for a job interview since my typical outfit is yoga pants and a t-shirt, with a zip-up hoodie if it's cold, also happens to be exactly what I was wearing at the time. I should also mention that I have my keys on a lanyard, which apparently means I work everywhere. I didn't feel like trying anything on since it was late, so I took my measurements and brought my measuring tape to the store with me. A group of women had arrived at the same time I had and we were all shopping. They finished before I did and were heading out as I was measuring a shirt on a rack by the doors. As they were leaving, they waved and said thank you to all the employees, including me. Overall not a bad I don't work here lady, pleasant actually since they were being nice to the employees, but I'll never understand why lanyard automatically means employee even when you're obviously not in uniform. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.